Peter Parker's life begins to feel like it's finally finding some balance after the events of the first movie. He's juggling school, photography, and his new responsibilities as Spider-Man, but deep down, he feels the weight of trying to live up to the idea of being a hero. His relationship with Mary Jane is fragile, as she feels Peter is drifting further away, but Peter insists he's trying to make things work. Still, the double life keeps pulling him in opposite directions. A mysterious new villain begins to emerge in the city, one who seems to have ties to Oscorp. Strange break-ins and attacks involving high-tech weapons start drawing Spider-Man into deeper conflicts. The police grow suspicious of Spider-Man's presence at these crime scenes, making him look more like a criminal than a hero. J. Jonah Jameson seizes the opportunity to paint Spider-Man as a menace on the front page of the Daily Bugle. Peter can feel the city beginning to doubt him, which eats at his sense of responsibility. Meanwhile, Harry Osborn is struggling with his grief and anger over his father's death. He starts to uncover more about Oscorp's hidden experiments and grows suspicious that Peter knows more than he's letting on. Harry's friendship with Peter becomes strained as his obsession with finding Spider-Man's identity intensifies. While Peter tries to protect his best friend from the truth, he can't stop Harry from digging deeper. This rift begins to foreshadow an inevitable clash between loyalty and vengeance. Peter's academic life also starts to crumble. He misses classes and deadlines due to his duties as Spider-Man. Dr. Curt Connors, one of his professors, becomes a mentor figure, encouraging him to stay committed to science and research. But Connors himself is working on dangerous experiments at Oscorp involving regeneration and gene manipulation. Peter doesn't realize that this very research will soon lead to the rise of another enemy he will be forced to confront. His world continues to spiral between the personal and the heroic. The mysterious villain is revealed to be a scientist turned criminal who's using Oscorp's failed technology to seek revenge. His attacks become more frequent, and Spider-Man finds himself outmatched against the advanced tech. During one battle, Peter is badly injured, forcing him to realize how much danger he's truly putting himself in. Mary Jane discovers Peter's injuries and grows more worried about how long he can continue living this double life. The emotional strain between them begins to widen. Harry continues to spiral, finding hidden files in his father's study about the Green Goblin's experiments. He grows obsessed with the idea of completing his father's legacy and begins experimenting with the dangerous serum. The serum affects his mind, fueling his hatred towards Spider-Man. At the same time, Oscorp's experiments with regeneration cause Dr. Connors to undergo his own transformation, eventually becoming the Lizard. This sets up to powerful threats looming on the horizon for Spider-Man. Peter starts noticing odd reports of reptilian sightings in the city's sewers. At first, he dismisses them, but soon he encounters the Lizard face to face. Their battle nearly costs him his life, and Peter realizes this creature is actually his beloved mentor, Dr. Connors. The emotional conflict is overwhelming, fighting a monster who is still, at his core, a man Peter respects. He vows to find a way to save Connors rather than destroy him. But saving him is not so simple. Mary Jane becomes frustrated as Peter's absences pile up. She confronts him, saying she feels like he's always hiding something. Peter struggles with the idea of revealing his identity, but holds back, believing it would only endanger her. This decision pushes her further away, leaving him more isolated. At the same time, Harry discovers Spider-Man's connection to his father's death and becomes convinced that Peter is protecting the truth. This revelation twists Harry's emotions into rage. The city becomes a battleground as the Lizard continues to wreak havoc, destroying Oscorp labs and spreading chaos in the streets. Spider-Man desperately tries to stop him without causing serious harm, but the more Connors mutates, the less human he becomes. The villain from Oscorp also continues his rampage, exploiting the chaos to his advantage. Peter realizes he can't fight these battles alone, but his strained relationships leave him feeling like he has no one to rely on. Peter seeks out Aunt May for guidance, though he doesn't tell her the full truth. Her words about sacrifice and responsibility remind him of why he became Spider-Man in the first place. With renewed determination, he creates an antidote that might reverse Connor's mutation. The task isn't easy, and with Oscorp's resources dwindling, he has to rely on his own scientific skills. This effort reignites his passion for science and reminds him of his own worth outside of the mask. The villain from Oscorp finally reveals himself in a public attack, drawing Spider-Man into a brutal confrontation. The city watches as Spider-Man risks everything to stop him, but the media continues to paint him as the aggressor. Jameson's headlines fuel public fear, and Peter begins to question whether he can ever win the city's trust. The fight leaves Spider-Man battered, but he manages to push back the villain temporarily. However, the fight is far from over. Mary Jane finds herself caught in the crossfire when Oscorp's villain kidnaps her to draw Spider-Man into another trap. Peter is torn between saving her and finishing the antidote for Connors, but his heart won't let him abandon her. The rescue becomes one of the most intense battles yet. Testing Peter's endurance and his love for Mary Jane, he manages to save her, but at the cost of nearly losing his own life. The close call shakes Mary Jane, deepening her fear for Peter's safety. Harry finally embraces his transformation into a new version of the Goblin. Donning experimental armor and wielding advanced weaponry, his hatred towards Spider-Man consumes him, and he vows to finish what his father started. When he and Spider-Man finally clash, the fight is not just physical but emotional. Peter pleads with Harry to remember their friendship, but Harry's bitterness blinds him. Their battle leaves both of them scarred, setting the stage for a tragic rivalry. The Lizard continues his rampage, becoming harder to control as his humanity slips away. Spider-Man manages to deliver the antidote during a desperate fight in the sewers. Connors temporarily regains his human form, realizing the damage he's done. In his final moments of clarity, he urges Peter to never give up on trying to balance science with compassion. Connor's fate serves as a heartbreaking lesson for Peter about the dangers of unchecked ambition. Meanwhile, Harry escalates his attacks, targeting Oscorp and the city itself to lure Spider-Man into a final confrontation. The Goblin's destructive rage puts innocent lives at risk, forcing Peter into the most difficult battle of his life. Their clash is brutal, fueled by betrayal and grief. In the end, Peter defeats Harry, but refuses to kill him, showing mercy even after all the pain caused. This act of compassion plants seeds of doubt in Harry's mind. Though his hatred is far from gone, Mary Jane finally learns the truth about Peter's double life after nearly losing him again. The revelation is both heartbreaking and eye-opening. For her, she sees the sacrifices he's been making all along, but fears that being with him will always put her in danger. Despite her love for Peter, she questions whether their relationship can survive the weight of Spider-Man's responsibilities. Peter is left unsure of what the future holds for them. The city begins to see Spider-Man differently after his sacrifices to save them from both the Lizard and the Goblin. Though Jameson continues to smear his name, ordinary people start to defend him, sharing stories of how he saved lives. Peter finally feels a small sense of validation, though he knows the struggle will never truly end. Being Spider-Man means being both loved and hated, but he accepts it as part of his duty. Harry, recovering from his injuries, swears he won't stop until Spider-Man pays for his father's death. Though Peter showed him mercy, the resentment in Harry's heart remains strong. His final scene foreshadows a darker path, with Oscorp's shadows still looming over the city. The seeds are planted for even greater battles ahead. Peter returns to his normal life, more determined than ever to balance who he is with the mask he wears. He cherishes the moments he still has with Aunt May and Mary Jane, knowing they could be taken away at any time. His journey has taught him that being Spider-Man isn't just about fighting villains, but about protecting the people he loves and the city that doesn't always love him back. The film closes with Peter swinging across the New York skyline, embracing both the burden and the honor of being Spider-Man. Though challenges and enemies will always rise, he now understands that his strength lies not only in his powers, but in his heart and choices. The story leaves a bittersweet but hopeful note, showing Spider-Man as a hero defined not by victory, but by sacrifice and perseverance.